I'm absolutely shitting my pants. You know, I'm swearing already. You know, do you know what? That's how I've been all my life. You know, just a scared little boy. That's the truth. Just absolutely scared of everything. You know, and you know, in the beginning of my recovery, I always prayed for, you know, to not be full of fear. You know, but I just know that's just not a reality for me. What I try and pray for now is try to not let be ruled by the fear and try and push through the fear, because I'm always going to be fearful, you know what I mean? But I try and push through it, you know, and yeah. I'd like to thank Michelle for asking me to come here and do this tonight. You know, I've just celebrated a birthday, you know, and it's, I truly believe it's because I've stuck in this fellowship and stuck with people like you, you know. It's the only thing that's kept me here besides my higher power, you know, because I certainly couldn't have done this by myself, you know, led by my own thoughts, you know, my own feelings. It's just never ever got me anywhere trying to do stuff by myself, you know. So yeah, you know, I started quite young with my it was alcohol, the first thing for me. Can you hear me, Kim?
Yes, sir.
Great. Alcohol was the first thing, you know, and I remember, you know, and it wasn't just like a little drink, it was like a bottle of Mad Dog 2020. You know, that orange stuff and a bottle of Thunderbirds, and yeah, it was just a complete blur. The only thing I remember was my mum coming like early hours in the morning and dragging me off at park, you know, and yeah, and it was horrible. I was throwing up, I felt shit, and it was awful, you know, but I was straight back into doing it again the following weekend, you know. And it progressed into, you know, cannabis, taking ecstasy, acid, speed, doing all the rave scene, you know, and it was great. You know, I got smashed and I enjoyed it, you know, but I remember being in an after party coming back from a rave, and there was this guy and he had this stuff on the tinfoil. And we used to drink vodka to come down and, you know, smoke bucket bongs. And he says, have a go at this brown, Les. I said, brown, what's that? He said, just smoke it. You'll feel great. So I got this tube in my mouth, you know, and I'm smoking this brown. And I threw my ringer up. It was bad, you know, proper chuck, you know. You know, but I felt great, you know. It just gave me that warm feeling, like someone just put a big old blanket round me, you know, and the very next weekend we did it again. Well, it might not have been the next weekend. It might have been like a couple of weekends after, you know. We did it again, you know, and we saw this fella, you know, and it wasn't long before we found out how to get this stuff and buy this stuff ourselves. And by then we knew it was heroin, you know, and it was just a weekly thing, you know, on a weekend, you know, we'd get it, you know, for a Sunday, we'd go out party on a Saturday and, you know, I'd smoke it on a Sunday, and you know, and it very quickly turned into, we'll get a little bit Friday, have a bit Saturday, and then it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and listen, you guys know the rest of the story. You know, it wasn't long before I was using it daily, you know, and at the time I was working in a factory cutting car gaskets. It was just like a first time out of school sort of job, and yeah, and I remember waking up one morning and I was ill, you know, I was really ill, and you know, I got chatting with somebody. I mean, I didn't go to work, and I got chatting with somebody else. He said, Les, you're rattling. He said, you're rattling from that heroin. I was like, nah. He said, I guarantee you go buy a bag of heroin and smoke it, you'll be good as gold. You know, so I did. I went and bought a bag of heroin, smoked it, and sure enough, I was good as gold, you know. And I realised then, you know, I knew then that I was a drug addict. I knew I am a drug addict. But I thought that was someone that had a problem with drugs. That's what I genuinely thought, you know, and the day came when I had no money, you know, I was in a bad way, I was rattling, you know, and I bumped into somebody and he said, listen, Les, he said, if you let me come round your house, I'll give you some of my gear. And I was like, yes, you know, and I was letting him in, you know, and I've got the tin foil out, and he's gone, nah, Les, I don't smoke it, mate. You're going to have a bit of my gear, you'll have to pin it, and that was it, you know. I ended up having a dig, you know, and yeah, it got very messy very quick, you know. Just after my 17th birthday, my mum was like, You've got to fucking go, boy. I can't have you here anymore. You know, the police were banging on the door all the time, you know. And yeah, she sent me packing to live with my dad in Eastbourne, you know. And yeah, I genuinely thought this is what I needed. Get on this train, get away from all these raving lunatics, and I'll be all right. you know, but obviously I was taking the worst lunatic with me, which was obviously me, you know, and you know, I got to Eastbourne and, you know, and I didn't use heroin for about 3 months, you know. I've used everything else but heroin, you know, and you know what it's like, you know, you're in a new town, you don't really know somebody, but you know when you see that one guy in the local town and you spot him and you think, gearhead, straight away, you know, and that was it, you know, I knew there was gear in the town, you know, and I ended up meeting this girl, you know, and she was lovely, and you know, and I'm still with this girl now, you know, and we got heavily into the heroin and crack together, you know, and it got messy super quick, you know, and by my early 20s, I was in prison, you know, and yeah, that was my life for 12, 13 years in and out of prison. Robberies, you know, flipping, burglaries, shopliftings, all the normal, usual bollocks that comes with crack and heroin, you know, and yeah, you know, and in the middle of all that, you know, we had some kids as well, and, you know, and I genuinely thought, this will sort me out, the kids, that'll make me sort my bloody self out, you know, I'm going to get a job, do the bloody right thing, and I did fuck all but used, you know, as per usual, you know, because again, I thought that was the problem, that the drugs was the problem, this was the problem, that was the problem, you know, the missus is the problem, the kids is the problem, Leeds was the problem, anything to not look at me, you know, and yeah, and on my last prison sentence, you know, I was sat in this prison, and some of the prison guards knew me quite well in there because I was in and out for stupid little things quite a lot, you know, and the carrot workers knew me quite well in there, and one of the carrot workers in there, she knew my she knew my kids, her grandkids went to the same school as my kids, and she said, look, Les, this can't go on, you know, you gotta do something, you know, and you know, we can get you onto this 12-step program and this, and I didn't have a clue what she were on about. And she said, look, you know, maybe we can get you back in front of the judge and get you out of prison. And I was like, what? Get me out of prison? Yes, I'll have a bit of that, you know. And she, you know, she got me some funding, and yeah, and I came to Bournemouth, you know, you know, she kept to her word, and I went to this treatment centre in Bournemouth, and yeah, it was great, you know. I got clean and, I mean, I was already clean and sober-ish, you know. I was using, like, mad pills in prison, like Seroquel, you know, quetiapine and stuff like that. But all the other stuff, obviously, I'd not done none of that. You know, I was on the clean wing, actually. You know, and yeah, in the treatment centre, yeah, do you know, it was still the same Les, same behaviours, doing the same bollocks, you know, and, yeah, just didn't really listen to what anybody said, you know, still thought I knew best, you know. And but you know, stayed clean and sober throughout the treatment centre, you know. And when I left treatment, you know, I got myself a sponsor, you know, and I went through the steps and got a home group. I was praying, I was doing everything that was suggested, you know. And I used, well, I didn't. I drank on a train going to see my kids and missus, you know. And I was like, how? I've done everything. I've got clean. I've got a sponsor. I'm going through the book. I'm praying, doing shitloads of meetings, and I've used, you know, it's like, what's going on, you know, and the reality is for me is, you know, it was the same old Les doing all that stuff. There was absolutely no change from me at all. Same old Les doing the programme, same old Les meeting his sponsor, same old Les sat in meetings, giving it that, you know, and yeah, there was no change there. And if there's no change, I'm going to do what I've always done, which is use drugs and drink alcohol, and that's exactly what I did, you know, and you know, I ended up back in Eastbourne, and within 4 days, I mean, social services came knocking on the door. They found out I was back in the area, and I've answered the door, and I'm off my nut, and they said, listen, you've got to go, Les, you know, you've got to go, and you know, the kids are going to get taken off Mary Ann, who's my partner, you know, and yeah, you know, I got my stuff and left, and to be honest, that was normal for me to be on the streets or not in the family home, because when I'm using and drinking, I'm not really interested in that, you know. And it pains me to say that, you know, that my kids weren't safe around me. I'd always put drugs and alcohol first, you know, and it was bad, you know, it's a bad thing, you know. I was the sort of drug addict that would steal my kids' Christmas presents and then be selling them 2 weeks later. Unfortunately, that's my truth. A proper down and dirty gearhead, you know. And I don't say that lightly, you know. It's real bad moment in my life, you know. But I know that wasn't me. That's not the Les that I know today, you know. It was, you know, the fear of having to, you know, be clean and sober and face life, you know. I just couldn't do it, you know, and it had me doing stuff that just a normal Les just wouldn't do, you know. And, you know, after I was living in a car park in Eastbourne, and I was there for quite some time. I was there for about 9 months, actually. You know, and after 6 months, I went to the local drug and alcohol services in Eastbourne, and I've gone in there basically to get on a script, you know. And I've gone in there, and the lady that I'd seen in the prison, she was in this local drug and alcohol services. Kate Simlet, her name was, fantastic lady, you know, properly saved my life, that lady, you know. And she said, look, Les, what the hell's happened, you know? And I broke out. I literally broke down on the floor crying in bits, you know. I was like, you know, and that for me, that was my proper first step one experience. I knew the game is up, Les. You are knackered. You cannot do this. You can't, you know. And it really, really broke me. I cried for days, you know. You know, when I was sat by myself, I just was bawling, you know. And she said, look, you know, we can try this again. You're going to have to do some stuff, Les. You're going to have to come to this place, and you're going to have to do some groups, you know. We'll get you on a script, and, you know, if you do all this stuff, then I'll try my best to get you the funding, you know. And I did everything that she said, you know. And I carried on using for another 3 months because, you know, step one ain't going to keep you clean and sober. It's just not, you know. You know, and she stuck true to her word. She got me the funding again and got me back into treatment, you know. And she said, I'm going to get you straight back into the same treatment centre. I was like, oh, no, please don't, you know, because the fear of being embarrassed and all that, you know. But I did, you know, I went back into that same treatment centre. And when I got on the train to go back there, as soon as I sat on that train, I knew I was going to be all right. I knew I'm going to go back to Bournemouth. I'm going to get back in that treatment centre. Most importantly, I'm going to be able to get back involved with this CA and these guys in CA, you know. And I remember being in that treatment centre and going to the first meeting, and it was at Quakers, this massive meeting, you know. And I was looking for people that I'd recognised from before, and I spotted a few, you know, Dean being one of them, you know. And you know, when I seen him, he's still, you know, like clean and sober. It's like, wow, you know, this stuff. You know, it definitely works, you know. And I sat in that treatment centre, you know, and I thought, you know what, Les, you've got to make some changes, you know, and I tried my best, you know, and I really tried to do it differently, you know. And the most important thing I did, again, when I got out of that treatment centre, is I got a sponsor, you know, and I started to go through the steps, you know, and I really, really made it count this time, you know, and I still try and make it count today, you know. And you know, we looked at step one, you know, and you know, for step one for me is it's really simple, you know. It's like, I know I can't do this by myself, you know. That was step one. And step two, you know, these guys in these meetings, you know, this sponsor, this God, what everyone's talking about, you know, they know how to do it. I don't know how to do it because my experience shows me I cannot do it. I haven't got a clue. You know, my best thinking lands me in prisons and in treatment centres and in CA meetings. So maybe I don't know what's best for me, you know. And in my step three, I needed to do it the way that's shown to me, not my way, you know. And that's exactly what I try and do, you know. And in step four, my sponsor said to me, he said, Les, you know, we're going to have to, again, look at yourself, write some stuff down, people you've hurt, you know, and your resentments, you know. And he said to me, he said, listen, Les, you know, can you still hear me, Kim? Yeah? He said, it's really important, Les, that, you know, if there's something that you don't want to tell me, that's great, but you need to put it on the paper. Even if you don't want to tell me, get it on the paper, you know. And that did something for me, you know, something I didn't do the first time round, you know. It was a change, another change, you know, and I did. There was some things I didn't want to talk about, didn't want anyone else to know, but I wrote it down, and I thought, but I ain't going to tell him. I'll write it down, but I'm not going to tell him, you know. And he said to me, you know, in your 5 Les, you know, you've got to sit down, we've got to talk about all this stuff you've written down, you know. And I did, and I told him everything, and even them couple of little things that I wanted to keep to myself, you know, I told him, you know. And it was a very freeing experience for me. For me, it was, you know. And I even went to a church, you know, and sat down with a priest. Not because I wanted to or anything like that. It was because it was suggested. You know, I'm not really a religious guy. I'm far from a religious guy. But it was said, listen, Les, it might be a good idea And I knew my ideas weren't very good, so I went and did that, you know. Step 6, my sponsor said, what needs to change? And step 7, you know, we're going to show you how to do that. Me, God, and your mates, but, you know, use all these people around you to try and help you to make these changes, you know. And obviously, you know, I have made some changes, and unfortunately, I've still got a lot more changes I need to make. You know, but that's all right. I'm not perfect, you know. My sponsor said to me, you know, we need to look at the people you've hurt, Les. You know, this step 8 list, you know, and yeah, it was quite a big list. You know, I had 264 resentments, you know, so there was quite a lot, you know. Yeah, man. You know, and you know, my sponsor said to me, he said, when we've got this written all down, Les, you need to go and put this stuff right, go say some sorries, which was all well and good, you know, but my sponsor was like, listen, Les, it ain't about what you say, you know, because, and I say this quite a lot, but the only way I can put it to you is, you know, my mum's heard me say sorry 1,000 times. Me saying, oh, Mum, I'm really sorry about that and all this and that. She just thinks, fuck off, will you? You know, it's... My mum needed to see some tangible evidence. She needed to see, for once, that I meant what I said. You know, and it took a little bit of time, you know, but I just tried to do the right thing and just, you know, and eventually... You know, my mum, she could see that I really meant business this time. I was doing things differently, you know, and that's an amends in my actions and in what I do, you know, and, you know, I weren't a good dad at all. You know, I'm a great dad today. You know, I'm there for my kids. I'm there for my missus. You know, I've got a good job. I try and do best by my clients, you know, and I try and do the right things, you know, and that in itself, you know, my actions, that's where my amends is, you know. It's been very important for me to sit down and say sorry to people, you know, and hear some stuff back. That's been all great, but talk is cheap, and you know, it's about what I do, you know, and it's still about what I do today, you know. And he said to me, step 10, Les, is when you fuck up, try and put it right as soon as you can. You know, it's like if I cause a bit of harm, say sorry, Les. It's not that hard. He says, but unfortunately for me, sometimes saying sorry is very hard, you know, and that's why I have step 11, you know, it's to, you know, the stuff that I don't catch during the day, you know, it gives me a chance to look at me again and, you know, put some stuff right, you know, it talks about it, doesn't it? Was I resentful? You know, what could have I done differently, you know? You know, it's, I don't do it every single night, you know, because I don't, you know, but I do it when it counts, you know, that's my truth, you know. And in step 12, you know, he said, Les, you've got to, you know, the deal is we do this. And he told me this from the very start. He said, we do this, Les, and then you've got to sponsor someone else. You've got to do this stuff, you know, and you know, and pass this on, you know. And I truly believe that is what has kept me in these rooms, you know, is a combination of my God, which is my group of druggies, you know, my higher power, you guys, you know, and definitely 100% working with another alcoholic, you know, or another addict. It's always saved my ass, you know, and I've always had sponsees, you know. I haven't always had a sponsor, if I'm honest, you know, but I've always been looking for one, you know. It's very rare, if I'm honest, and I've got a good sponsor now, you know, and I phone him most weeks. There's been the odd time that I haven't phoned, you know, and I try and meet with him once a month, you know. And you hear it all the time, don't you, you know. I mean, the people that's still around from when I first came around, there's not many. There's really not that many, you know, and that's because they don't stay around doing this stuff, you know. They go off and do other stuff, you know, and not all of them, but most of them go off and use and drink, you know. My experience is when I go off and isolate myself away, I do what I've always done, which is use drugs and drink alcohol, you know, because I end up this frightened, scared little boy again, you know, and I've chose over the last few years to, you know, stay with you guys, you know, and keep a real strong network around me. It's been really, really, really important for me to keep some real good people. You know, it's like, if I hang around people that's using drugs and drinking, I'm going to fucking use drugs and I'm going to drink. But if I hang around people that's doing recovery, I know I'm going to do recovery. So I keep them people close to me, you know, and I always have. It's not a big circle, it's a very, very small circle, you know, but they're there for me. And I like, in turn, I'm there for them, you know. I like to look at the things I've achieved in recovery, you know, and people say, oh, it's not about materialistic stuff, and I think, oh, okay, you know, but, you know, things like passing my test in, you know, in recovery, getting a car, getting a job, having another baby in recovery, getting a nice flat, going on great holidays. And it is all material stuff, don't get me wrong. But for me, it's about the memories that stuff creates, because, let me tell you, before I came into recovery, there weren't no happy memories. It was all just a bloody nightmare. It was just horrible, misery, and just, you know what it is, guys, when you're using, it's pitiful, you know, but it has not been like that the last few years. It's just not. Don't get me wrong, I've had bad times, you know, my dad's died in recovery, you know, and I had, very early on in recovery, I had some big old troubles that I had to go through with my partner, because she was doing a bit of stuff, you know, but listen, I kept you guys round me, and you was there for me, and I got through it, you know, and not once has my Ed ever said to me, Les, go and get a can of beer, or go get a bag of gear. Not once has it ever said that to me. Not once. Hand on my heart, I've never, ever, ever had a compulsion to use drugs or drink alcohol over the last few years. Never. For the last 12 years since I've been here, not once. You know, and I truly believe it's because of you guys. I know I can't do it, but I know when I've got you guys with me and my higher power, things are great, you know. And I pray every single morning, every single night. I have done for the last 12 years, you know, and the truth is, I don't know what I'm praying to. I still don't now, I don't. You know, I just do it because I know it's where... It's as if I'm getting rid of stuff. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. I really don't. But I know it works. And that's what I focus on. I know that when I'm doing this stuff, I'm great, you know. And listen, most of you that know me know I'm a fucking raving lunatic. I'm an idiot. I'm the class idiot. That's what I am. You know, I am. Kim. I am. But when it comes to this recovery stuff and this, I'm deadly serious, because I know how important this stuff is, you know, and I know that, you know, without this stuff, I'm a dead man, because I will use and drink till I die, you know. You know, the last time I came into recovery, I was like that. I was like a rake. If I'd have walked over the drain, I'd have fell through it. That's how thin I was. You know, I used till there's not left of me, you know. Banging on flipping bakeries' windows at 2 o'clock in the morning, begging for a sausage roll. That's where my using takes me, you know. And yeah, it's not like that today. I've got my kids. I've got a good job. And you know, the most important thing I've got some bloody happiness, you know, because that's where it's at for me. It's, you know, most of the time, my head and my heart are saying this. Oh shit, are saying the same thing, you know. And I'm a very, very happy customer, and I mean this when I say I could not have done this without you guys and God. I just can't, you know. And yeah, I'm still shitting my pants, but yeah, thanks for putting up with me, and thanks for the viewers that have put up with me for the last few years. But yeah, thanks guys for hearing me share, and yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna shut up now.
Thanks, Larry.